Dagesh Forte. The Dagesh Forte is also known as the strong Dagesh, as opposed to the weak Dagesh. Lene means weak, Forte means strong. Now, the weak Dagesh, the Dagesh Lene, which we've already talked about, is, let me write this down here, Lene, Dagesh Lene, is a phonetic phenomena. Okay, it just has to do with how you say the letter. It has no morphological significance. In other words, it doesn't change the meaning of a word. It doesn't change a word from one word to another or a different form of the word. It's just how you pronounce it. Forte, on the other hand, Dagesh Forte, is more significant. It's really quite a different thing altogether. It just uses the same symbol, the dot. This is a doubling of a consonant. Doubling of a consonant. And it also means that it changes the sound as well, but that's simply a consequence. Now, when you have a doubling of a consonant, sometimes it means that you pronounce it in a stronger way. It doesn't necessarily mean that you say it twice. An example in English is the word meanness. This is a double N, right? You got a word mean, and then we have the ending ness. Meanness. If we were to pronounce it without the double N, it'd be something like meanness. Meanness versus meanness. They're really different things. We often don't think about it because we just say things quickly. But if you were to say this, which isn't the word, if you were to say this, meanness is different than meanness. You hold this longer. You don't say it twice, but you hold it longer. Okay. The Dagesh Forte is something that can happen. It can be put into any letter except the gutturals and resh. Remember the gutturals and resh? We actually have a module called gutturals and resh. Aleph and ayin, chet and hey, and then resh. Remember I said that resh sometimes behaves, I'll put it over here, like a guttural, or it's grouped with them because of similar behavior. One of the chief things is that none of these double. You can't double them. So you won't see a dot in any of these. In fact, you won't see a Dagesh Lene in these because they're not Begad Kafat letters either. So you never see a dot in these. I shouldn't say never, should I? You will see a dot in hey. It's called a mapik. We'll deal with it later, but that's a different thing. It's the only one. You won't see a dot in any of these other ones. So these can't double. Now, given that Dagesh Lene is just a phonetic phenomena, while Dagesh Forte is something morphologically important, we want to make sure that we can tell when we're dealing with one as opposed to the other. Now the ambiguity is only going to show up in the Begad Kafat letters, right? Let me just write them down here again. Begad Kafat. These are the letters that can take a Dagesh Lene. These letters can't take either Dagesh Lene or Dagesh Forte. These can take Dagesh Lene and Dagesh Forte, so either of them, and the rest of them can only take Dagesh Forte. So the only place where you have confusion or potential ambiguity is with the Begad Kafat letters. So how do we know, when we see a dot in a Begad Kafat letter, how do we know if we're dealing with a Dagesh Lene or a Dagesh Forte? Well, the rule is that a Dagesh Forte can follow a full vowel. In fact, it does follow a full vowel. So Forte, Dagesh Forte follows a full vowel. And a Dagesh Lene, of course, runs off when it sees vowels. So that's your main distinctive feature. When you're trying to figure out which is which, is it a Dagesh Lene or is it a Dagesh Forte, look before the consonant that has the Dagesh in it and see if you see a vowel or not. let's take a look at some examples. Shaddai. Shaddai means Shaddai, as in El Shaddai. Shaddai. Okay, we have a Dagesh. It's in this letter here, which is also a Begad Kafat letter, so there's some potential for ambiguity. We need to figure out, is that a Dagesh Lene or a Dagesh Forte? These are supposed to be pataks, by the way. Now, is there a vowel preceding it? There is. So it can't be a Dagesh Lene, because the vowel would chase this away. So that's the main thing you need to look for. So it's a Dagesh Forte. And if you were to write this out in full, really what this is this. Dagesh Forte is a doubling. So you could, this is not a valid way to write it, but this is what you actually have. You have two of these, and you'd have a silent shaval there to close that syllable. Okay, let's look at another example. Let's look at, oh, my writing's getting bad, isn't it? Isha, woman. Here we have a Dagesh, and the sheen there. Now this is not a Dagesh, or this is not a Begad Kafat letter, so it can't be Dagesh Lene. So the only thing it can be is a Dagesh Forte. And besides that, we have a vowel preceding it anyway. So here's an example of a Dagesh Forte. Now, the preceding vowel is usually short. And if you think about it, let's just write this out.